Its court, which opened its doors in 2010, is not operational. Justice and Correctional Services Minister Masutha was informed of this during his Kimberley visit. Masutha is using Women's Month to visit some of the 75 sexual offences courts across the country. The minister also revealed that cases of gender-based violence in the Northern Cape and the Free State are low compared to the other provinces. Refilwes Mekoa filed a story for us.
The main challenge is the high number of sexual offence cases that remain outstanding, that therefore require some intervention, prompt intervention. And the one way that was raised in particular was that if we can have a second fully fledged, dedicated sexual offences court in Galeshewe, that would go a long way in addressing this particular problem.
The minister also said that they discovered that the Sexual Offences Court at Galeshewe Magistrates Court is not operational and that some of the issues is based on staff shortage. As the regional president, court president, what are you going to do about that and what have you been doing about that issue?
When that court was built, the Galeshewe court is new. It was built in 2010, and when it was built, there was a courtroom for sexual offences that was built there, but that court was never staffed. And in other words, there was no regional magistrates, there were no prosecutors, there were no legal aid practitioners, so it was not fully staffed. Then we have been dealing with these cases, practically, or most of these cases from the Sexual Offences Court that is in Kimberley, that was launched and established in 2000. And we also, as part of that, used another court amongst the Kimberley courts because we used this Sexual Offences Court to deal with cases for all the victims that are under 18 years old, mentally retarded, as well as where the victims are the older people, older females. Then we also had another court that we also made use of to deal with adult victims. Then we have been dealing with that because we do not have the staff to make sure that that other court does operate. We have a regional court in Galeshewe, but it is a backlog court. And that court, where it relates, if the offence relates to a sexual offences court, then we would use that sexual offences courtroom. But we did not have a sexual offences court in terms of the personnel that is always there in order to ensure that the court does run. Now that the minister, we have raised this with the minister has been very much optimistic about trying to find ways of ensuring that we do address this particular problem.
And also talking about the backlog, earlier on you indicated on outstanding sexual offences cases. If you can just tell us how many are there and what were the reasons?
The outstanding sexual offences cases in the area is about 145 in the whole of Kimberley, including Galeshewe, 9 that are in that backlog court in Galeshewe. The causes are simple. Again, we go to that amount of backlog because, unfortunately, the courts are always understaffed. We over and above having the backlog in the Sexual Offences Court, we also have backlog in the overall outstanding cases in the regional court in this particular area as well, which then includes whether they be murders, robberies, and all other forms of other kinds of offences. Because then the magistrates are almost spread out to deal with all these type of cases, then unfortunately the backlog had to be there, and unless we have got more courts, we cannot be able to deal with the amount of work that we have.
Well, a sinkhole which forced a road